What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video, and typically every Sunday I do a big piece of content. To my standards, it's normally 4 to 5 minutes long, a thought piece on something going on in the gaming industry that's really well edited, in my humble opinion, along with a blog and that kind of thing. We didn't have time to do that this past weekend because Summer Game Fest was going on. I was making YouTube shorts and TikToks and stuff to just try and keep up with some of the biggest news that came out of the weekend because there were a ton of events that were going on. If you go over to the Summer Game Fest website, you can see the recap of everything from the main show on Friday, all the way down to the Future Game Show, the Wholesome Direct, Day of the Devs, Devolver Digital, the Xbox Showcase on Sunday, the PC Gaming Show, Ubisoft Forward on Monday. It's been quite the past couple of days. And I almost totally forgot to mention, Sony had a state of play for the PlayStation side of things on May 31st. Now, technically, this wasn't really a Summer Game Fest show. It wasn't really even a real showcase, but if you're a company the size of PlayStation and you're putting out any kind of direct, a showcase, anything at all around the month of June, it's going to be perceived as this is your summer offering. This is what the next year has in store. Here's a quick look at what's ahead. So I'm throwing that into what we're doing today, which is the handy dandy tier list. Now, if you go back to the Summer Game Fest page, there were a lot of events, some big, some small. I didn't watch all of these, and I also don't think it would be fair to compare the Future Game Show Summer Showcase to Ubisoft Forward or the Xbox Showcase to the Latin American Game Showcase. They're different things for different people, different groups, different levels of games. It's just not going to be that kind of thing. So instead, I'm picking what I consider to be the biggest shows on the floor. And I will say, the only one of these that I have not watched, but I did read a recap on, was the PC Gaming Show. And there were some standout hits there that we'll talk about momentarily. But we have the PC Gaming Show, the Devolver Direct, the State of Play from PlayStation, the Summer Game Fest main show, Ubisoft Forward, and the Xbox Games Showcase. Now, starting things off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the Xbox Games Showcase. Now, we all know I'm an Xbox player. I play on Xbox. I've got a Master Chief helmet behind me next to a Mega Bloks energy sword, so take my opinion for what you will. I don't feel like I'm biased, but I want to mention it because, yeah, I'm an Xbox fan. Even if you aren't a fan of Xbox, I don't know how you can't look at that showcase and not think that that's an S-tier showcase. That is one of the best showcases I think I have ever seen, period. Not even related to Xbox, just in terms of video game showcases that I've watched through the years. We started off with Call of Duty. We went right into Doom. Then we got into some of the smaller cuts like State of Decay 3, which in and of itself is not a small cut. Obviously, we had big games like Dragon Age making an appearance, but Starfield Shattered Space and Fallout 76 getting big updates for those two games. Expedition 33, totally unique looking, visually impressive game. South of Midnight, World of Warcraft, Metal Gear Solid Delta at the Xbox Showcase after it was debuted at a PlayStation show. That's a pretty big deal. Flintlock Siege of Dawn definitely looks like a 7, but a fun 7. Atlas Fallen level kind of 7. Age of Mythology's making a comeback. Perfect Dark at the showcase. That was one that I was not expecting to see at the showcase because when it was announced in 2020, we haven't really heard anything else about it since. And we've heard reports that it's not in a good spot. We heard reports the development was not going well, which very well could have some validity to them. But then weeks after these reports come out, we literally see gameplay running in engine, ready to rock. Like, this is actually Perfect Dark, the game that we're going to be playing. I never would have thought that was going to be at this showcase. So to see stuff like that really instilled a lot of faith in Xbox that these things are starting to really go the way that they want them to. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred looks so good. Now, I am wearing a Blizzard shirt once again, but I've been on a massive Diablo 4 kick. Season 4 has been great. I finished the Battle Pass, and I'm so excited to see this next little entry in the story, the big DLC. Pets are officially in the game. Just cool business as usual updates, along with giant stuff like Fable, Fragpunk, which is a weird little card FPS game, Winterboro Mixtape. All of this represents that Xbox is not only focused on the giant AAA games like Doom, like Call of Duty, like, by the way, getting down to the bottom, Gears of War E-Day, bringing back Gears of War, not to forget that, along with stuff like Fable, along with stuff like Indiana Jones. I had no complaints whatsoever about this showcase. Now, I do wish that we had seen more about some of those franchises that we're waiting to hear more about what's next from, like Halo. But that's because I'm a big Halo fan. However, let other series breathe. Redefine what Xbox is. I've seen some people complaining that Halo wasn't at the showcase. Do you want Xbox to always be the Halo shooter box, or do you want it to open up to become more stuff? Because right now, if you had brought Master Chief back out once again, it just gets Xbox back into that same loop. So I like the diversity, I like the huge lineup they've got here, and I thought that was an S-tier showcase every day of the week. Now, unfortunately for PlayStation, we have to go with the next big competitor, and that is the PlayStation State of Play. Now, I said at the beginning, this wasn't meant to be a showcase, but when you're PlayStation and you're putting out any kind of announcement, a presentation, a showcase, a state of play during late May, early June, it's going to be compared. So it's only fair to compare it here on the Tier Maker tier list. I'm going to have to give this one a C because it didn't have a lot for me. And I think that's where a lot of people are probably landing on it. It wasn't horrendous. It wasn't the worst showcase I'd ever seen or even a state of play that I'd ever seen, but it definitely didn't have the same oomph that PlayStation typically packs. I mean, right now, PlayStation is going through a massive transformation. They've kind of worked their way through the big hitters that were coming out for the PlayStation 5. You've had your Last of Us Part 2 remastered. You've had your God of War Ragnarok. You've had your Spider-Man 2. You've had your Horizon Forbidden West. Those are your big games. Gran Turismo, throw in there as well. It just didn't have the definition of what's coming now that all of those big games have come out. Now, that's not to say there's not stuff to get excited about here. Silent Hill 2 looks way better than it did last year. I don't really have much else to say, but Bloober Team looks like they could deliver on this in a way that I personally didn't expect them to, but the jury's still out on how it actually looks when it finally does come out. On top of that, Astro Bot getting more time in the spotlight. This could be PlayStation Super Mario. That's a big order. That's a big pair of shoes to fill. Big pipe to plumb. Don't know, I was trying to do a Mario thing there. But I'm happy for the Astro Bot fans. It's just not my kind of game. I'm not going to be the one that's going out and buying a PlayStation 5 for Astro Bot. So I know they call out here in The Verge, this could be Sony's new Sackboy. Really good observation there. Ragnarok coming to PC. Then we saw Monster Hunter Wilds, Overwatch clone, Marvel Rivals. Kind of a clone, kind of not. It's got some unique things there. The destruction looks pretty cool, but that's also a third-party game also coming to Xbox. If you're looking for PlayStation exclusives, which a ton of people that watch State of Plays are, if you're wanting to see what the next big first-party game is going to be, the really only thing you had was Concord. You know, like that's just not what people really want to see from PlayStation, and the comments will tell you that. The game doesn't look bad per se, but it looks like Destiny combined with some Overwatch, maybe some Valorant thrown in there. It's just not really doing it for me. And I'm concerned about PlayStation's live service future, if it's going to be more games like Concord, or if we're in this kind of transitional phase where that first chunk of PS5 games is now out, Jim Ryan is also out, and so now the new leadership is trying to figure out what's next. Now, admittedly, new leadership has been there. Herman Hull's been there for a while, leading a lot of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pivot over the next couple of years and what they end up actually dialing in on. But PSVR 2 is also completely dead in the water, so I'm going to give the State of Play from PlayStation a C on our scale here. Next up, let's talk about the main Summer Game Fest show. Definitely one of the weaker ones that Jeff has ever put on. There was not a ton here that I think a lot of people are really going to be getting excited about. It's not that there weren't good announcements here, it's that there wasn't a ton of stuff that was a one more thing, and now here is label your next big game here. There wasn't a mic drop announcement. It really felt like a ton of smaller stuff, which Jeff really did warn us about. It was updates to existing games that we've already known exist, and some focus on some of the smaller stuff. I mean, if you walk through some of the recaps, everything announced over at IGN, Lego Horizon Adventure is pretty neat there. No More Room in Hell looks good. That was shown off during the PC gaming show as well. Star Wars Outlaws teaser. A lot of teasers for like other stuff coming over the following days. Civ 7, if you're into that, again, more of a niche announcement there. Dragon Ball's coming back. Arkham Shadow is the one game that could potentially get people to buy a MetaQuest 3, but man, does it just make me want to get a real Arkham game and not Suicide Squad. And there's other stuff here. Street Fighter's getting more content. Blumhouse is getting into games, which is pretty exciting, but it's smaller announcements of things that are coming. A Power Rangers game that's like an old school brawl. It just didn't have that same oomph. Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC was probably one of the biggest announcements outside of stuff like Valorant coming to consoles. That was a pretty big deal for me. So it was mainly updates on stuff that was coming, and things looked good, but it wasn't really on that same level of like an, oh my gosh, Xbox killed it. Jeff didn't kill it this year. I'd probably give this one a C as well. I think that's where I'm going to hang out, just because I'm excited for stuff like Valorant on console. Killer Bean looks like a very fun little indie game that I've been following for the past couple of years. Alan Wake 2 getting DLC the day after the show. All of those are cool, but that was kind of it. Let's just keep rocking with the big boys here. Ubisoft Forward. Now, this is one that was kind of teased through the weekend. We had Star Wars Outlaws that was sprinkled in during the main show during Summer Game Fest, then over during the Xbox Game Showcase. I think we got some Assassin's Creed gameplay snippets tossed in there as well, but the Forward was where you're getting like the deep dives, the real gameplay, the real breakdown, that kind of thing. And so going over to the Ubisoft Twitter page, here's every game that was shown off or talked about. Now, some of these are updates, some of these are like Season 2 content. In the case of For Honor, which isn't on this roster, I think they're on Year 8, Season 2, like something wild like that. Can't believe that game is still going, but these are your big hitters, the big updates, the big games. I hate how this is laid out, by the way. Like, for me, Star Wars Outlaws, fine, top left, looks great. Move Assassin's Creed Shadows up to the middle slot, and then move the Prince of Persia Sands of Time block up and replace Skull and Bones. Like, that's the way that this should kind of be organized, at least for me. But nonetheless, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, for me, represent the future of Ubisoft. Those are games that I have faith in. Those are games that I think look very, very good. Now, that's just my 2 cents on that. Now, full disclosure, I am a Ubisoft partner. They will give me codes for games occasionally, but that never changes the way that I talk about the company or that I talk about the games. Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows are day one pickups for me, 100%. Regardless of whether or not I get a code for them, I am playing that stuff on day one because they look so good. They've captured an incredible Star Wars world with Outlaws. They've captured a really awesome era with Assassin's Creed Shadows. People have issues with the history of it. Brother, it's a video game. You got to take a step back. Enjoy your life a little bit. What they showed off with both of those is some of the most exciting stuff that I've seen from Ubisoft in the past couple of years. And beyond that, the resurgence of Prince of Persia should be studied because they're doing so many different things that are very, very neat. I have absolutely no idea why they announced Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake for 2026. Keep in mind, this is the game they showed off a couple of years ago. The gameplay was so bad, they just canned it, and then it looks like it's gone way above and beyond probably what it was ever intended to be. Looks like they just totally started over. Like, the little teaser is very, very high quality. So it's going to be a while before we get that one. The Rogue Prince of Persia, I did get a code for that. I've been trying that out on Steam Deck in early access. Phenomenal game. You've got to check that one out. You can give it some time to cook in early access if you want, but the movement is very, very good. And then Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, I played that one earlier this year. It's pretty good. Not my favorite Prince of Persia game, not my favorite game that I've played this year, but really solid showing for a different kind of Prince of Persia game. And then you've got updates on stuff like Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, new DLC coming this summer. The Crew Motorfest Season 2 is on the way, and Anno is getting a sequel as well if you're into that kind of real-time strategy thing. Skull and Bones, don't know why it's, I mean, like, I know that you're gonna have to keep supporting it, but like, is anybody playing that? Rocksmith Plus, can't believe Rocksmith is still a thing. This is like the real Guitar Hero, but lo and behold, here we are, and you can play that one on iPhone. Didn't know that. Also on PlayStation, not Xbox. I'm sure it's like a peripheral thing, but that's what they had. I'm also pretty high on the future of X-Defiant. Now, I don't think that's going to be the Call of Duty killer that people had said that it might be, including me back whenever the beta first launched a couple of years ago. It was cooking for a while. You probably waited a little too long on that one, but now that it's out in the wild, it's fun. People are playing it. I know Formal, who's like a professional Halo player, has been playing a ton of X-Defiant on stream. Don't know how he's feeling about it, but seeing big pros pick that game up and play it is something that's pretty cool. I know Shroud was not high on it, but if you're into the casual Call of Duty approach, you don't want skill-based matchmaking in your casual playlist, X-Defiant's a really good option. They've got new types of players that are coming into the game. By that, I mean, I think they're factions, I guess is what they're called, but it's a different ability set for the way that you play. So cool, excited for Season 1, more content coming on that in the next couple of weeks. But for me, Ubisoft Forward 2024, I would pin that at a B because Assassin's Creed looks great. Very excited about that. Star Wars Outlaws, exact same thing. Some of those games that are in there, I'm excited to go back to. The Crew Motorfest might be reinstalled. X-Defiant has not been uninstalled, definitely playing Season 1. Let's do Devolver next, because this is one that I always look forward to because their presentations are totally unhinged. I mean, the Devolver Directs have typically been kind of like more about the pomp and circumstance or making fun of the industry or subtle commentary on the state of the industry. This year, they just totally went unhinged and talked more about Volvi, their like mascot kind of thing. I always look forward to these for that reason alone. If I was ranking it based on the presentation, it would probably be an A. I am ranking these based on the games that are shown off. I'm gonna have to give this year's Devolver Digital Direct a D. I think it was worse than the State of Play showing because we keep getting the same games over and over again for the most part, and I'm thinking about Angerfoot in particular. The thing about Devolver Digital is that they've got big names that they're known for. Hotline Miami is the one that really comes to mind. I believe Serious Sam is published by Devolver as well. They've got a lot of games like that that are in that kind of echelon that I love. But when you have a game like Angerfoot, to have it coming back 3 years in a row for like a Summer Game Fest or an E3, these aren't big games. These games aren't big enough to warrant that kind of exposure year after year. I mean, I think about stuff like Shadow Warrior 3. You showed that off at launch like a couple of months later. That's the kind of cadence that we need for that kind of thing. And so Devolver didn't have a lot to show during this year's showcase that I thought was really super impressive. I know like Talos Principle 2 is getting some DLC and that kind of thing. And there are games in there that I'm excited to play, but in terms of a showing, it did not perform as well as I had hoped that it would. And then we have the PC Gaming Show. Now, this is not one, again, that I would compare directly to the Xbox Game Showcase or the State of Play or Ubisoft Forward. They're all very different. And this is more of like a AA indie level show with some bigger names that are thrown in there. Now, I can't let this one go back to the dock because it literally can't sit there. So it's sitting in D right now. It's not a D. But I did want to show off some of what they actually had in store, what was shown off during the PC Gaming Show. If I can find the tab, which is right here. The first thing for me, Killing Floor 3. Man, this game looks good. Now, Killing Floor is kind of like Call of Duty Zombies on steroids. That's the way that I've always thought about it. People have given me flack for that description over the years, but hey, whatever. That's the way that I think about it. I loved Killing Floor 2. It's visceral zombie mutant slaying chaos. Love that kind of thing. If you love the gore of Doom, Killing Floor is one to keep your eye on, but this has been a long time coming. I think Killing Floor 2 might have been like a 2013 game. It's been a long time since we got a Killing Floor. On top of that, another one that had my eye, Citizen Sleeper 2. I loved Citizen Sleeper. If you're into storytelling and like kind of like a I guess puzzle style game. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a very strange game. They say tabletop inspired sci-fi RPG. Then Sleeper Citizen 2 is another one that really is worth keeping your eye on. The thing about the rest of the PC Gaming Show is that it was a ton of very small games, which is kind of the heart of the PC gaming community. Also, No More Room in Hell 2, really good looking game there as well. Kind of a zombies thing. Kind of reminds me of Left 4 Dead. Maybe what was the Back 4 Blood that game wanted to be. Kind of No More Room in Hell 2 feels kind of like that. But it wasn't like a ton of massive games, which is okay. And I think that the volume of games that were shown off here kind of bumps it up for me because there's so much here to dig into, ranging from your smallest little indies up to bigger indies like Cat Quest 3 right here. Lots of cool stuff to look at. So all things considered, I would look at the PC Gaming Show. I would give this a B because of the volume, because of the amount of indies that are shown off, because of the amount of AA games, because of the quality of stuff like Killing Floor 3. I'd put up there PC Gaming Show. I'd put that up there with Ubisoft Forward. But this is just my tier list. Of course, I'm probably wrong. It's all opinions either way. This is the way that I saw stuff. Xbox absolutely knocked it out of the park, will go down in history as one of the best showcases that we have ever seen. Everything else ranged from not great to good, I guess is the best way to put it. Again, a D is not an F. I'm not saying Devolver has nothing. I'm just not saying it's good. Same thing with the C, the B. These people have games that are coming, and I think that's the biggest takeaway for me is that there are games that are worth being excited about. There is stuff that is coming that should be on your wish list, whether you're into the small little indies, whether you're into the giant AAA games coming from first-party publishers. You've got stuff to look forward to. New experiences are coming, tons of additional content and DLC is on the way. It was a very good Summer Game Fest season, not the best we've ever had, but still one that's worth watching and checking out. Of course, I'd love to hear from you down below. Did you watch Summer Game Fest? And if you did, what did you think of all of these showcases? And hey, what was your game of the show? Let me know in the comments. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next one.